Ravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha. Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Thursday Bhagavatam class, and today we will discuss two verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 12th chapter, 17 and 18th verse. So let us look into this verse. I will share the screen. Hare Krishna. Yeah, give me a moment. I'll share the screen now. Yeah, let me start with the prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastaprayesva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.3rd canto 12th chapter 17th verse. Alam Prabhaji Sristabhi Idrishibi Surotama Maya Sahadananti Bir Disha Chakshubir Ulbanaya Alam Prajabhi Sristabhi Idrishibi Surotama Maya Sahadantabir Disha Chakshubir Ulbanihi Alam Prajabi Sristabi Idrshabi Shrutama Ma Maya Sahadantibir Disha Chakshubir Ulabnahi. What word translation? Alam, unnecessary. Prajabihi, by such living entities. Sristabihi, generated. Idrishibihi, of this type. Sura Uttama, O best among the demigods. Maya, me. Saha, along with. Dahantibihi, who are burning. Dishaha, all sides. Chakshurbihi, by the eyes. Ulbanehi, fiery flames. Translation. Brahma told Rudra, O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me. No purport for this verse, and we'll move to the next verse, that is 18th verse, 12th chapter, 3rd canto. Tapa atista badram te sarvabhuta sukavaham tapasaiva yata purvam srasta vishwam idam bhavan tapa atista badram te sarvabhuta sukavaham tapasaiva yata purvam srasta vishwam idam bhavan tapatista badram te sarvabhuta sukavaham tapasaiva yata purvam srasta vishwam idam bhavan. Synonyms, word to word translation. Tapaha, finance. Atista, be situated. Badram, auspicious. Te, unto you. Sarva, all. Bhuta, living entities. Sukha avaham, bringing happiness. Tapasya, by penance. Eva, only. Yata, as much as. Purvam, before. Srashta, will create. Vishwam, the universe. Idam, this. Bhavan, yourself. Translation and purport by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance, which is auspicious for all living entities and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. Purport. In the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, the three deities Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara or Shiva are respectively in charge. Rudra was advised not to destroy while the period of creation and maintenance was going on, but to situate himself in penance and wait for the time of dissolution when his services would be called for. So these are the two verses. Today is our verses. Let me do with prayers. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chachkurum Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthabitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Khadamayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Bhutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanto Namastute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sutadevi, Pranamami Haripriye, Vancha Kalpa Tarubhasya, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Namo Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi, Paschashya Deshatarine, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. So today is very rainy or cloudy day, and today our verses are 17 and 18 of 12th chapter, 3rd canto. So before getting into the verses, let us do a small recap to set the scene where exactly we are now. So this is the 3rd canto. We all know status quo. Status quo is like government passing the amendment and then verifying it. So the creation and annihilation already happened, and now about the discussion is happening between two saintly persons. And it starts with Maitreya Muni. So Maitreya Muni is explaining, before getting into this chapter, the previous chapter was about Kala, so the time personification of the Lord, and he's telling to the Vidraji about the creation of Brahma. Let us hear how the Brahma's creation is all about. So Brahma initially tries to created with sense of false ownership, forgetfulness of one's real identity, like that. So initially he was struggling for his duty, that is creation, and then seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity. So he was struggling. Therefore, he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. The previous chapters and other cantos, we know what is the Brahma's position. So initially he was in so dark. So after purification only he attained that stage with the mercy of the Lord. Then he began to another creation after meditation and all this process, and he started creating. So out of his penance and all these things, austerity and everything, and he started creating. There are 4 sages which we know that Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. Then he requested, or he spoke to his children. Now you generate the progeny. That means the generation. That is a job of Brahma also. And but what happened on the refusal of the son to obey the order of their father? So they are not interested in this creating the generation like a normal life like that. And immediately Lord Brahma got anger. So how my own children not obeying my instruction, what to do, like that. Then immediately with that anger, he created a child. Mixed blue and red was immediately generated with a hanger in front of this particular eyebrows, between his eyebrows. So between these 2 eyebrows, he got a child with the blue and red immediately generated. Then after his birth, began to cry. The baby, started crying. O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place. See, that much urgent, the newborn, immediately, giving instruction or requesting to his father, you give me the name and, place where I supposed to be. So anxious. So, anxious about what is next like that. So the all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy. My dear son, just newborn, please, control and do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire. So much of desire for that, newborn, which was born from the eyebrows. Thereafter said, father is, giving instruction to the son. O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people. So you will be called as a Rudra, all people, because you have so anxiously cried and also anxiously requesting, give me the name and give me the place and what is my responsibility like that. And my dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence. These places are very, very important one to remember. There are 11 places: the heart, the senses, air of life, sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. These are the 11 places Brahma assigned to Lord Shiva. Then Lord Brahma said, my dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names. So, and also the naming ceremony, Namakarna, after the newborn. So being, given by his father. So most of the time, father only gives the name. So, and O Rudra, you also have 11 wives. And also he is giving, 11 wives, that benediction. Rudranis, they all are queens, all the 11 queens are, goddess, call it as Rudranis. And then you may increase the population on a large scale. So, and also another instruction is given by the Lord. So increase the population on a large scale. So because he had given the 11, places and 11 form and everything. And the blue mixed with red created many offspring exactly resembling him in features, strength and furious nature. So as, equivalent to Rudra, and he started creating next generation. So now we have come to the previous verse before where we are going to discuss. That is 16th verse. The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entities, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Not ordinary fire. So the destruction is everywhere. So there is no, in the war field, we say this particular, places, it should be so, protected. And in this place, there is agreement between, two parties like that and all. Or don't honk the horn in the hospital place or, during this particular locality, all these things. So likewise, here there is no control over, the destruction. Everywhere with the blazing fire of, his generation, that too putting together, huge, unlimited in number. Everybody gathered, in one place and started doing, this, devour the entire universe. So even Lord Brahma himself, afraid what is happening and what is going on. Even Lord Vishnu also, so unhappy with this and what is happening like this, in that way. So then immediately, so that is what our focus, what is the, situation now. Then Brahma told Rudra, so that means he's calling his son, come here. O best among the demigods. So he has given the position. There is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. Right? He is very much, earlier he was unhappy with, 4 Kumaras. And now even he is further, unhappy with this kind of situation. Then he is coming to the conclusion They have begun to devastate everything on all the sides with the fiery flames from their eyes. So we all know, in Lord Shiva has got, the another eye, and they have even attacked me also. So Brahma himself, telling, see, they have started attacking me. So that is the nature of, this the creation with the mode of, anger. That means the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. So that is the origin of, creation of Rudra, mode of anger and mode of ignorance. Sorry, mode of passion and mode of ignorance. Then in the 18th verse, my dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance, which is auspicious for all living entities. So this is a solution, for this problem Lord Brahma is giving to Rudra, and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. So we can find, Lord Shiva's, position or a picture in everywhere he meditates, or he will be doing, Rudra Tandava. Only in these two positions we can find, in most of the places. And the purport Prabhupada mentioned in the creation, maintenance, and the dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, or Shiva, are respectively in charge. Rudra was advised not to destroy while the period of creation and maintenance was going on. So it is like when mother, asked help from a daughter when preparing some dish. If the dish is, spoiling or deviating from what she's supposed to, bring out, then immediately mother says, please stop, I will only do this. And you go and do your homework, or like that here, but to situate himself in penance and wait for the time of dissolution. So there is a service for you also. That time you come like that, father advising to son, when his service would be called for. So whenever I call you, come and, do this service. So many times we may have, this kind of problem. Brahma is so clever, he found a solution. But ordinary being like us, I'd like to share one small story about this for better understanding. One person was, praying towards the Lord, want of, servant. I need one servant, and whatever I ask, the servant should do for the whole day for me. Then Lord appeared in front of him, and Lord has given, that benediction to that devotee. Then he is getting, service or whatever he wants for the whole day. But the Lord given this, benediction with one condition. If you fail to give any service to this person, then he will swallow you or eat you. Whole day this devotee started, giving the assignment to that servant. Do this, do that, go to temple, bring prasada, and do this, that, and all. Then, night, he was, going to bed. That time, immediately he just, realized that this servant, very close to him, and this devotee, and trying to eat or swallow him. Then immediately, he prayed to the Lord, oh Lord, what is this big punishment for me? Now I want to sleep. How can I, come out of this situation? So please help me, like that. Then Lord appeared. Then Lord gave the solution to, that devotee. So you should have, belief in God. So this is the moral of, this story. Then God, gave the solution to him. So I will give you one big cylinder kind of a metal, or very shining, blazing, very, shining metal pipe structure. And you assign the job of, this servant, whom, the person the person who is trying to follow you, from morning to evening, whatever the job you have, you assign to him. In the remaining time, you tell him to slide on this, cylinder. Whenever you have a task, whenever you have a job, that time you call. So that is a cleverness, what the Lord supported, for this particular person. So same way here, Brahma is so clever, to control the situation, and he assigned, particular task, to do meditate upon, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then you come whenever I call for, any destruction, or that is a duty assigned to Lord Shiva. Then he accepted. So that is a simple understanding about these two verses. And let us get into deeper about the purport and other details. Same, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, according to Bhagavad Gita 3.27. So here it is more elaborately discussed about, the same, position of the mood of passion and the Raja, mode of passion and ignorance. Here in 3.27 Bhagavad Gita, Prakrutehe kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartam iti manyate. Kartaham iti manyate. So the translation, the spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So before getting into the purport, what is the mood of, Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva was created in the mood of ignorant and patient. So that is an important point. So two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and other in material consciousness, working on the same level, but may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions, right? So how to understand this? The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body, right? Forgets his position. So that is the problem with the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. Or due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification. Why it is happening? Because forgetfulness. He is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So this, with so many examples, we can understand how Draupadi struggled, in the initial stage before calling, for Krishna, and how Kunti Devi, struggled before calling, arrival of Krishna, and how Arjuna, right? All these are, from the contamination mind, the forgetfulness. From that verse, one can, easily understand. And again in Bhagavad Gita 3.37, only the translation and last paragraph of the purport, I will take it for discussion. 3.37. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into vrat. So vrat is the comparison of ignorance, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So this is the enemy of this world. So that is what we have been, discussing. So in the purport, this inquiry is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, wherein it is said, Atato Brahma Jignasa. One should inquire into Supreme, and the Supreme is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as Janmadasya Yato Anvaya Itratas Cha, or the origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. So the origin one should understand. So origin also from him only. Then both lust and vrat can be spiritualized. So Prabhupada always mentioned in ISKCON movement, we are not recommending, this is the process. One should, gradually elevate from, tamasa guna to rajas, rajo, from rajo to sattva. But in Krishna consciousness, in ISKCON movement, we are not, recommending, but it is sometimes it may take long process. But here the example Prabhupada gives, then both lust and vrat can be spiritualized. For example, Hanuman, the great servitor of Lord Rama, exhibited his vrat by burning the golden city of Ravana. Same mode of ignorance only. How Hanumanji, exhibited. But by doing so, he became the greatest devotee of the Lord. See, he exhibited the mode of ignorance, but in the Lord's service. Here, also in Bhagavad Gita, Lord induces Arjuna to engage his wrath upon his enemies for the satisfaction of the Lord. Same thing, Arjuna is another example, that too instructed by Lord Krishna himself. Therefore, lust and wrath, when they are employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. Right? And Prabhupada says, when he was in US, there was a problem in registering the land of Juhu temple, Mumbai. So that time Prabhupada told, oh, you call, he instructed, to the authorities, invite all the devotees and protest on the road and meet the concerned, authorities and fight for the land. So this is not an easy task. So this is the test, by the Lord. So you all get into this. So everybody, marched towards, some particular officer's office, and they finally got success also. So that is a message from, understanding, these three gunas. And from Bhagavad Gita 14.5, Sattvam rajastam iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibananti mahabaho dehi dehinam avyayam. Translation. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So from Brahmaji, the material nature, starts. When some extent, even, Vishnu. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. So one may think, so these three modes, let us see the purport and then we will discuss on this. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of three modes of material nature, because living entities have different kinds of bodies. In terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress. See, the moment the jiva took birth, immediately conditioned to goodness, passion, and ignorance. Right? Naturally, but Shuddha Sattva, our aspiration is the opportunity, the purpose, why we are put into this jail, why we have come over here, right? Because of the mood of, Lord over. So that is the reason, Lord has given this particular position to all the jivas. So, but with the mood of Shuddha Sattva, one can elevate, one can go back to Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the three verses giving more, meaning towards what our, guna and all other things. And I'd like to share one particular chart for better understanding of, these three gunas. Yes, I'll share the chart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Yeah, Hare Krishna devotees, is it visible sufficiently?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So we have been, discussing about these three, modes of nature. One is goodness, passion, and ignorance. See, all the rows here it is mentioned goodness, passion, and ignorance, and all the columns represents from the Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter. The first column represents binding force. The second column represents characteristics and manifestations. And the third column represents destination at death. And the fourth column represents results of action. So it's very, easy to understand. So where we are, and most of the time, So how everybody is bounded with these three gunas. We may think so the goodness is very good like that. Even the person who is in the mode of sattva guna, he may get some pride, proudness. I know these many slokas. I know, I am very, pious person, and I am in the conscious of, this, that, and all. But even though there is an example, one of the lecture I heard, there is a game, called Snake and Ladder, right? So the life in this Kali Yuga, the danger is everywhere. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions, padang padang vipadang. So every step is danger in this, Kali Yuga, and full of, temporary and full of miseries. So one may not think I am in the mode of goodness, I am in the patient, I am in the ignorance. Prabhupada straight away giving the answer. Use it in the service of the Lord. Right? So let us look into this tabular column as per Bhagavad Gita. Right? The binding force. So I will go in the reverse order. Ignorance. So the binding force, because of this mode of tamasa guna, the madness will stick on to that person. Laziness will stick on to the person. Sleep also will stick on to the person. How to understand this? Arjuna being represented as Gudakesha. What is meant by Gudakesha? The one who conquered the sleep and laziness. So Arjuna is not falling under ignorance. So every devotee should aspire to be a Gudakesha. Then passion. Attachment to fruitive activities, bind by the rope of the desire and attachment. Right? So I want to do this. I want to be a big businessman. I want to live in Antilia, apartment, and I want to lord over, the entire, the so-called, democratic country of India. Right? I want to rule, and I want to take the name and fame. I am the most dominant or most famous leader in the world, like that. So that is all about passion. Goodness. This goodness is all about happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, superiority. So see the goodness, how to understand this goodness. So in Srimad Bhagavatam only, so in future we will discuss about which verse and all. Once, the people usually seeking for benediction, they'll go to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is, the one who could be easily pleased, Asuntosh. The one could be pleased easily. Then one poor Brahmana approached Lord Shiva. My dear Lord, please, give me the benediction which is most precious in this world. Oh, you want most precious in this world, no? Then I will direct you to go to, Sanatana Goswami. Then he approached Sanatana Goswami. He went and approached Sanatana Goswami. Then he asked, he said, dear, Sanatana Goswami, I went to Lord Shiva and I requested for most precious, thing in this world. One can, get, I want that, like that. Oh, okay. Then you do one thing. Just open that, particular, bin, and you see there is one particular stone. Then he went and he searched for that stone. That stone kept in the garbage. He was not so happy with, touching and taking it. Then afterwards he brought it and shown to Sanatana Goswami. So what is this, here? So this is a Sanatana Goswami, explained. This is the touchstone. So by touching this stone, whatever you touch, that will become gold. Or whatever you want, it will produce to you. But you asked for most precious thing. But he is so curious to ask about, this detail. Then why you have kept you this precious thing in the, garbage? Then he told, to answer to that, then you throw this, stone into that river and come back. Then he obeyed. He went and thrown that, and he came back and very humbly, requested. Then whatever I give you through this touchstone, all are temporary only. Like Prabhupada says, chewing the chew. But you want most precious thing, no? Now I will give Harinam initiation to you. Then he got initiated, and that particular devotee The position is happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, superiority. Sanatana Goswami would have given that touchstone to him, but he wants to give this, happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, and superiority permanently. So that is a understanding about binding force. Now we will move to the second column, characteristics and manifestations. So here the characteristics and manifestation one can understand from, again, from ignorance. The inertia will be there, and madness will be there, darkness will be there, delusion will be there, illusion will be there. What is this illusion? Illusion means forgetting the constitutional position. So I am the master here. So that is the position of here. Darkness. So thinking, I am the body. The madness, aspiring for all these, worldly affairs in the mode of, ignorance. And then, inertia. So this particular word is very peculiar, and, that means forgetting, real, identity. And then mode of passion, very intense, unlimited desires, and unlimited desires, longings, great attachment, fruity activities. So as I mentioned earlier, so I want to be number one in business. I want to build, so much of wealth. I want to create so much of, bank balance. All, I want to be all powerful, etc. Then goodness illuminates the gates of the body with knowledge. So they will attain that stage, of knowledge. I mean, all the senses, they will attain to become a Goswami, not the Godasa. Frees one from sinful reactions. So by chanting of the holy name, all this. The third column is destination at death. Birth in lower species. Who? The person who is in the mode of ignorance and attains earthly planets. Go and enjoy. Go and live in, Antilia apartment. Go and, lord over the entire, democratic country, such a big country like India, like that. Attains the pure higher planets of the great sages. So we know the 14 planetary system who can reach, where the demigod lives and where the great sages lives, even beyond that. Goloka Vrindavan, that is, Suddha Sattva, right? Pure goodness. That should be the, aim of the devotee. And the last column, here it says results of action. So the results of action with ignorance, even with Rudra's creation, we have observed that, right? Life in hellish worlds, illusion, madness, foolishness, like how Kamsa. Finally, what happened to Kamsa? Finally, what happened to Hiranyakashipu? So that is the, result of action. And then passion, earthly planets. Then greed, misery, charity. I should donate this much. I want to build, these many hospitals. That this, earthly planets. Oh, I am so and so. I am so and so with, material identity. So that is the results of action. So again, there is a birth certain. Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam will be there for, these modes. Then in goodness, result of action is pure knowledge, sees things as they are. So that means I am not the body, I am a spirit soul. Elevation to higher planets like Brahmaloka or Jnanaloka. So even goodness also has got limitation up to Brahmaloka and Jnanaloka. The pure devotee or practicing devotee should aspire to reach Goloka Vrindavan. Like, with how, the mood of Krishna's, Gopas and, Gopis, Suddha Sattva. So this is a, small understanding of good mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. And Lord Shiva's position, one can understand the misery, greed, and foolishness, madness, illusion. So with that mode, it is highly difficult, to do the job of, the Brahma. Only the person who is in the mode of goodness can elevate up to the planet of Brahmaloka. But we, the practicing devotees, should aspire for Suddha Sattva. So I'll stop sharing this. I hope it is clear that all these, three gunas and the continuation of, with the position of Lord Shiva. And here in India, we all are, very familiar with Shivratri. So how the Shivratri is celebrated in Vrindavan, we will, hear a little bit from there also. Once upon a time, the coward men of Vrindavan, headed by Nanda Maharaj, decided to go to Ambika Vana to observe the Shivratri ceremony. The Vaishnavas also observe this ceremony because they accept Lord Shiva as the foremost Vaishnava. Shivratri is not just festival of celebration, but also an occasion to glorify the compassion of the greatest devotee of Lord Shiva in saving the existence by drinking the poison and express our gratitude to him. So we all know in Srimad Bhagavatam we heard that the Lord Shiva, swallowed the entire, poison when they are churning the ocean of milk. We must also pray to the Lord to help us develop a drop of such compassion by which we may also dedicate our lives for the welfare of the world, right? So following, his example, Prabhupada says, don't imitate Lord Shiva by, drinking the poison. Right? You try to follow, like Lord Shiva, how he, taken the entire poison to safeguard the demigods and, other jivas. In Srimad Bhagavatam 4.7.6, Maitreya Uvacha Tad Sarvani Bhutani Srutva Midustamoditam Paritustam Vis Tatha Sadhu Sadvaiti Atabravan. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.7.6. So here in this verse, Shiva is described as Midustama, right? The best of the benedictor. He is also known as Asantosha, which indicates that he is very quickly satisfied and very quickly angered. It is said, Bhagavad Gita, that less intelligent person go to the demigods for material benedictions. In this connection, people generally go to Lord Shiva, and because he is always quickly satisfied and gives benedictions to his devotees without consideration, he is called Midustama, or the best of the benedictors. Materialistic persons are always anxious to get material profit, but they are not serious about spiritual profit. So this is my, Bhakti Vriksha leader and my mentor. Always give this example during, Bhakti Vriksha session. His Grace Vidru Madhav Das. And say one child is, crying. So we can understand, the position of Lord Shiva with this example very clearly. See, one child is crying for ice cream, right? So father also there, or neighboring uncle also there. The neighboring uncle is so compassionate towards the baby and, friend's son, and crying for ice cream. Then immediately, that uncle can, provide that ice cream. But only the father knows yesterday night how much degree, temperature for, his son or daughter, how he was protecting, from that, fever and all. So the father knows not to give ice cream today. After a week, the baby can have. So likewise, Lord Shiva, like in the mode of, easily, one can, please him. So he will give easily, just like that, the benediction. But father will not leave the child like that. So likewise, there are, so many pastimes. But here, I'd like to, stop with sharing few things from Chaitanya Charitamrita about in connection with these two verses. Then we can, have the question and answer for a few minutes. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita 9.76, it is mentioned that seeing the Shiva deity named Amrita Linga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his obeisances. Thus, he visited all the temples of Lord Shiva and converted the devotees of Lord Shiva into Vaishnavas. So, in connection to this, I'm sharing, one more, pastime. When all the devotees, trying to spread Krishna consciousness in Sri Lanka, we know Sri Lanka is a place where, very hardcore Lord Shiva's devotees, will be there. Then we started, ISKCON movement started preaching Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. People are shown, very less interest. Then ISKCON devotees, changed, the thing, what to preach to them. Then they started preaching Shiva Purana to them. So in Shiva Purana, Lord Shiva himself told, devotees to follow Govinda. Then everybody started, accepting, Krishna consciousness movement in Sri Lanka. And then there are so many, relations in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 9.78. The Kumbhakarna Kalpa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a great lake and then the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, where a temple of Lord Shiva is located. Kumbhakarna is the name of the brother of Ravana. At the present moment, the city of Kumbhakarna Kapala is known as Kumbhakonam. It is situated 24 miles northeast of the city of Tanjore. There are 12 temples of Lord Shiva located at Kumbhakonam, as well as 4 Vishnu temples and 1 temple of Lord Brahma, Shiva Kshetra, within the city of Tanjore. Is situated near big lake known as Shiva Ganga. At this place, a large temple of Lord Shiva known as Brahadishwara Shiva Mandira. So this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then Shiva Kanchi is also known as Kanchipuram, or the Banaras of southern India. Shiva Kanchi. There are hundreds of temples, temples containing symbolic representation of Lord Shiva, that is Shiva Linga. Then Lord Chaitanya, adopting the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulder and thus they danced together for a long time. So even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also exhibited, that kind of qualities. But one should be mindful of the difference between, according to Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned that one should not mistaken like this. There is a lot of difference between milk and curd, right? The curd cannot become a milk, but milk can become a curd. That is understanding. So like that, there are many. Assuming the form of Rudra, he destroys the creation. Thus, creation, maintenance, and dissolution are created by his will. So, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will. So, likewise, there are so many, points are there, but here I would like to conclude, today's session. Thanks for the opportunity to temple authorities and my mentor. And if there is any questions, we can take it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, conduct Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, if there is no sharings or queries, then we can conclude the session now. Thanks for joining. Hare Krishna. So what is that time?
Nice class, nice sharings.
Yes.
It's a very tough line to walk. So, talking about question of Lord Shiva, nice. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for your readings. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, thanks for joining. Over to temple authorities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thanks for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thanks. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavad Pranam.
Thank
Thanks.
you for the class, Prabhuji. Very nicely you organized everything and told
Thanks.
us. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks. So we can end the session.